my name is Rob Wells, and I'm doing my persuasion speech for Professor Slayton in my communications class. Thank you very much, Professor Slayton, for letting me do this online. It's greatly appreciated. I've chosen to kind of have a fireside chat today about something that's very important to me. Before I get started, I want to ask each and every one of you, how many of you have ever been the victim of a crime? And how did that make you feel? Today, we have close to 1,500 unsolved homicides in the state of Colorado since the 1970s. I'm here today to ask you to consider supporting an organization that's dedicated to the solving of those 1,500 unsolved murders and the bringing home of missing children and persons that have disappeared under suspicious circumstance. I've been associated with the families of homicide victims and missing persons now for just over a decade. My circumstance is unusual because I've spent the last 23 years in federal law enforcement, and I also have the distinction of being a co-victim. My father, Richard Wells, was murdered by a drunk driver in 1980, and my brother, Sid Wells, was murdered doing a piece called Cocaine in the Rockies for CBS News in Boulder, Colorado. He was a CU student there, interning with CBS at the time on August 1st of 1983. Having lost a father and a brother under the most horrific of circumstances is not something that's unfortunately all that uncommon in our society today. I think I was shocked to find out that we have over 1,500 unsolved homicides in the state of Colorado. So recently, when I was asked to take over as executive director for this organization and taken in a direction to where we can get a cold case unit funded for the state of Colorado, on top of already having initiated the database for the Colorado Bureau of Investigations, that you can look up online, by the way, on Colorado Bureau of Investigations.state.gov. We are challenged because there are so many other nonprofit organizations that have such worthy causes. But for me, given the fact that I've lost a brother, lost a father, I appreciate the challenges that law enforcement has in solving complicated cases, many of which are of this nature as well. I really want to do the best I can to urge you to help us find those over 1,500 murderers that are living amongst us here in this state. Help us to make sure that the government officials don't forget who those victims are and what their circumstances were. Help us to apply pressure where it needs to be applied through organizations like Families of Homicide Victims and Missing Persons, Parents of Murdered Children, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, Students Against Drunk Drivers. These type of organizations, though few in number, have some very, very important roles in our society. Those roles are to never let us forget that nearly, depending on where you Google, nearly 50 to 70,000 people a year are murdered in the United States by reason of drugs, drug overdose, drug-related crimes, murders where weapons are involved in the heat of passion, heat of rage. These type of cases consume, think about that just for a moment, 50 to 70,000 people a year are killed in this country, and many of these cases go unsolved. I guess I'm hoping to urge you, rather than go to the United Way or Boy Scouts of America, all very honorable organizations, to take a look at what it is that we're doing here and the very positive push that we've given that's led to a database now of all of these unsolved homicides at the state of Colorado level. One of the things that I'm very, very proud of here is how the private sector has worked cooperatively with the state and its representatives and its law enforcement and its district attorneys and its victims advocates to put together a cold case task force. They've adopted the Families of Homicide and Missing Persons Unsolved Murder Database and have now taken that on as their own, and we work mutually to make sure that it's updated as needed. The thing that we're looking to do in the future is really hold Colorado out as an example to the rest of the country on how to take this very, very difficult issue that nobody really wants to face, except those family members who have lost a loved one, whose murder or unsolved case is not been brought to justice. How do we want to go ahead and make us, here in Colorado, a national model? This national model is simple. With your funds, with your support, helping us help others that have suffered these terrible tragedies, helping us help the state show other states around the United States on how to bring about these positive changes and do what we've done here in the state of Colorado. Put together a cold case task force. Take a look at unsolved homicides. Use public funds to make sure that these hundreds and hundreds of unsolved homicides and missing persons are not forgotten, that they live and they breathe and they're given attention, the attention that they do deserve. The recent Castro case, where 3 young ladies were recovered after a decade of being held captive by this individual, is a classic example of what gives organizations like ours hope, that their cases will be solved, that their loved ones will come home. For those who have been abducted or are missing under suspicious circumstances, it just gives a little bit of hope. So one of the things I would ask is that you consider giving generously to this organization so that we can hold it out as a national model in the weeks, months, and years to come. Thank you.